I'm bigcal and welcome to my world. Today is the fourth and final part of my A to Z of video games series, where I name my favourite game for each letter of the alphabet. And at the end of this video there will be a little bonus one based on numbers, basically. Numbers and symbols, but how many games start with symbols that are any good? So let's just dive right into it with the first letter. While, for the most part, sports just isn't my thing, I do enjoy a good fight, be it a big boxing match or a big UFC/MMA fight. And for video games, UFC Undisputed 3 is the undisputed king of MMA style games, in my opinion anyway, and most others. The fighting system is terrific and there are a ton of options here that makes playing the game just immensely fun. The fighting system, as mentioned, is tremendous, allowing you to punch, kick and take to the mat with ease. A fantastic career mode for a creative character, allowing you a ton of control over your fighting career, from moving up and down weight classes, choosing a training camp and even deciding when to move to another promotion. Wins and losses mean everything, making each fight just as important as any title match can be. You have an impressive roster of current, for the time, and legendary fighters, allowing for dream matches. Nothing is more satisfying than knocking out an opponent, especially after being dominated and you've made a big comeback. The presentation of matches is also second to none in my opinion. Apart from looking fantastic, it also has the classic sounds of Michael Buffer for the ring entrances and the great commentary team of Joe Rogan and Mike Goldberg. WWE games could really learn a ton from this game. And this came out 8 years ago? Come on WWE, your games suck. UFC are getting it right. So, while none of the Diablo games, which are some favourites of mine, made it on the list for the letter D, it is nice to have a Diablo style game make it on this list with Victor Vran. Victor Vran looks, sounds and plays just like a Diablo game in many ways, with the only real difference being that it does kind of lack any story outside of something very basic. But that isn't why I like this game. I like it because I can hop into a level, destroy hordes of enemies with various weapons and magic attacks, and just have an absolute blast. Even better is the Overkill edition featuring a new campaign involving Motorhead, which lets you rock out to some classic Lemmy while killing monsters and Nazis. So for fans of Diablo, the Torchlight series and anything similar, Victor Vran is an absolute must play in my opinion. W basically had to be a wrestling game, and trust me, I have a lot to choose from. For many years WWF and even WWE SmackDown 2, the two variants, has topped my list as my all-time favourite wrestling game. But in recent years a certain other one has creeped up, and here it is, making my list for W is WWE Day of Reckoning 2. Anyone who played the N64, WCW and WWF games will feel right at home here, as Day of Reckoning 2 is an evolution of those games. The grapple system is fantastic, and while it doesn't have as much variety as the SmackDown games did on PS2, what it did have is a great system of light and heavy grapples, forcing you to wear down your opponent before you could execute a stronger move. You could get lucky and land one straight away, but most of the time you'll get reversed. Like most wrestling games at the time, you have a body part meter, with each part being separate and moves targeting different areas, which makes pinning or submitting opponents easier the more you do it. A stamina meter is also here, preventing you from spamming big moves over and over again, making matches a little more strategic, though still being very arcadey like previous games. The career mode is great with multiple paths to take, and more importantly, it actually follows on from the first game, making it one of the only games to continue a career mode from one game to the next. The roster admittedly isn't the best, as it was based on the roster at the time it was being developed, but there are a bunch of legends to unlock and the Creator Wrestler feature is outstanding. And of course we have all of the usual match types you would expect here, from singles to tags, triple threats to fatal four-ways to Royal Rumbles, Battle Royals, Hell in a Cell, Cage, Street Fight, etc, etc. For wrestling fans, this game needs to be in your collection. It needs to be. It tops the list of the greatest wrestling games of all time in my opinion. So yeah, WWE Day of Reckoning 2. Play it. Play it! So, have you ever been playing God of War and thought to yourself, I wish I was playing as a couple of 100-year-old mutant with claws? Well, if you have, I've got the game for you. It's this one. A terrible movie, X-Men Origins Wolverine somehow made the transition into a great video game. It follows the film for the most part while adding in some extra content as well. Wolverine controls fantastically, literally how you would expect a God of War game to play, but with Wolverine ripping people apart with his claws. And oh boy does he rip them apart. The Uncaged edition, which I have and 100% recommend, increased the amount of blood and gore, making the experience all the better. So while it isn't quite as good overall as the God of War series in my opinion, it's still a tremendously fun game. It does get a little bit repetitive, but it's still always fun to rip people apart with Wolverine and his claws. Definitely the best thing we got from that awful, awful movie that it's based on. Pure fun on a disc. That is how I would describe Yoshi's Woolly World. It's just tremendous. It is one of my favourite and best games of the generation that it came out on, be it Wii U, PS3 and Xbox 360. Like quite a few games on this list so far in previous videos, I do have a video review of this, link in the description below, but it is such a tremendous game, I have no problems talking about it some more. It follows the usual formula of a Yoshi game in terms of mechanics. You have the flutter jump, the ability to swallow enemies with your tongue, and the various collectibles in each level. What puts this over the top is the visual style. Everything is made out of yarn, including Yoshi, and while the Wii U isn't the most powerful system, it was in HD and oh boy does it look incredible. Add to that the fantastic soundtrack and some amazing level design, and you have all the ingredients of one of the best games of its generation and a firm favourite of mine. While this did get a port to the 3DS as well, this is the version I would highly recommend people get just because visually it does look far better. With all the ports that Wii U games are getting to the Switch, I would love personally to see this one get there. Although to be fair, if this does get ported to the Switch, I might as well just burn my Wii U collection because it's completely useless after that. Known outside of Europe as Zombies Ate My Neighbours, because apparently we had no issue with zombies, but zombies eating people, oh, can't do that. Yeah, Zombies is a really fun, overhead almost run and gun style shooter game, similar in many ways to the likes of Super Smash TV and Total Carnage, only you're running around a neighbourhood and various locations, killing zombies and, well, trying to save your neighbours. As you progress in the game, you explore various locations and collect different weapons in order to combat the zombies and other horror-themed enemies. What also makes this game fun is it can be played in 2-player mode for twice the zombie killing action. While I personally haven't put that much time into the game myself, it is one of the very few games out there beginning with the letter Z that I've even played, so it isn't like I had much choice. That being said, it should not take away from how fun this game actually is. Just because I haven't played a ton of it doesn't mean it's bad or anything like that, and just because it was one of the few games I could pick from also doesn't mean it's bad. It definitely is a top tier game that definitely deserves to be here for the letter Z. If you can play this, definitely give it a chance. I mean, it was available on the SNES, obviously, the Mega Drive, it's been released on virtual consoles across multiple generations. And if you want to play something more modern, there is currently a spiritual successor coming out for this game called Demons Ate My Neighbours, which will be coming to the Switch and other platforms as well, probably. So definitely check that out, and definitely check Zombies out. Bonus game time! Woo! Bonus, bonus, bonus! So, as well as the alphabet, I decided to do my favourite game for a game beginning with a letter or a symbol. Okay, while there are plenty out there, there are not that many that I can think of that are good. However, one game did immediately come to my mind because it is tremendously good, very fun, and one of my personal favourites. And that is 8-Bit Boy. A 2D platformer made by one guy, 8-Bit Boy sees your character sucked into a mysterious video game, and only by completing it can you return home. A basic story, but come on, it's a 2D platformer. You run, jump and fire projectiles in a similar way to Mario, all the while trying to navigate some very fun levels that are designed really well. 50 levels spread across 5 worlds, with coins to collect, enemies to kill, fun platforming challenges to complete, and secrets to find. I've done a video review of this game, which I'll link below of course, so be sure to check that out to hear my full thoughts on this game as I go into way more detail. The game is only available on Steam, but it is incredibly cheap, more so during a sale, and well worth picking up if you're a fan of 2D platformers, retro style platformers, or just good games in general. Well, I'm bigcal. Thanks for staying with me for the 4 parts of my A to Z of video gaming series. Hope you enjoyed this series, and I'd love to know what your A to Z favourite games are for each letter, and maybe even a bonus one for letters and symbols as well. So I'm bigcal, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.